Hi, my name is Faith Haugh. I'm a nutrition therapy practitioner here at Renaissance Health Center, and today I thought it would be great just to talk a little bit about the basics of nutrition. So, when we're talking about nutrition as a definition, nutrition is a science. It's focused on the interactions between living organisms and their food. It's the study of biological processes used in consuming food and the body's ability to use nutrients extracted from food. When we talk about nutrients, we have to remember that nutrients are a chemical substance. They are contained in food that are necessary to sustain human life. There's also essential nutrients. Essential nutrients are necessary to support life and is supplied by the intake of food only. So, when we have essential nutrients in our body, those cannot be created in our body or produced with the body without food. There are major classes of nutrients in our body, things like proteins, carbohydrates, fat, fiber, minerals, vitamins. Those are the building blocks in our body. When we're talking about body composition and how our body really is made up, we're looking at fats, proteins, and water. So, water is going to make up about 60% of our body. Then we have protein, which is making up about 16%, and fats making up about the rest. We also have things like amino acids and peptides, and also, of course, the building blocks of our muscles. The next thing we're going to be discussing is water. Most of us know the importance of hydration in the body and how important it is to get in that right amount of water. But this is going to kind of just explain it a little bit more. So, water is the most important nutrient in the body. The body can actually go for many weeks without food, sometimes up to 8 weeks. But with water, we can really only go just a few days. Water makes up about 55 to 60% of our total mass. Water is found in all tissues of the body, and most of the body fluids and volume of the cells is water. There are many roles of water in the body. Water helps to remove waste, it lubricates our joints, cellular hydration, regulates our body's temperatures, transports nutrients, flushes toxins, supports the body's natural healing powers, improves oxygen delivery to cells, and really helps to cushion our bones, joints, and organs. So, whenever I'm talking to clients about how much water they should really be drinking, I always say take your body weight and divide it by pounds by two. And that's how many ounces of water you would want to drink a day. So, for instance, if you're 200 pounds, you should be drinking at least 100 ounces of water daily. Your maximum amount should be about a gallon, and that's if you're very active or you live in a hot climate. And I always recommend that you should sip your water throughout the day instead of chugging. Often when people are trying to increase their water intake, they find themselves, taking in 16 or 20 ounces of water all at one time. And if you're doing that, especially if you're doing that close to meals, you can actually start to harm your digestive tract. So what we want to do is just be sipping water throughout the day. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is protein. Protein is so essential for the body. Protein is the building blocks of the body. Our body uses about 50,000 different proteins to form flesh, organs, nerves, muscles, all kinds of important function of the body. So here we are looking at just different roles of protein and what it does for our body. Some of those roles are antibodies. Protein is very protective. It helps us to fight infections. There's so many enzymes in protein. There's protein molecules that are helping to manage and be catalysts for all kinds of bioidentical and biochemical processes. They're helpful for hormones. Protein regulate our metabolism and almost every single function of the body. Also affects our hemoglobin. Proteins in the form of red blood cells specializing in carrying oxygen. So, protein, as many of you probably know, is kind of what our amino acids are based off of. The building blocks of proteins are our amino acids. All proteins are a combination of 20 possible amino acids. 10 are essential, meaning the body does not produce them on its own, and 10 are non essential and can be made by the body on its own. So, for your protein sources, an overall good recommendation for protein intake is about 30%. You will definitely hear me talk over the next, coming slides and even in further videos that everyone is very bio-individual. We all have different needs for our own personal nutrition plans, but as an overall rule, that's a pretty good recommendation is about 30% of your diet should come from protein sources. So, whenever we're looking at protein, you want to look at some full amino profile proteins most often in your diet. We're going to be talking about things like fish, non farmed. We definitely don't want to do farmed fish here. Always try to get fish that has been, handled in a way that it has grown in the ocean and where it belonged. Grass fed beef or bison, free range chicken, raw dairy if it's tolerated well, and things like organic eggs. Next, we are going to talk about fats. So, fats are essential in our diet. We really need to be making sure that we are getting a good amount of healthy fats. Animal and vegetable sources of fat are great. They all provide sources of energy in the diet. For optimal health, a good amount of healthy dietary fat is definitely required. So, there are many roles of fats in the diet. We're going to go over some of those. If any of you, lived through those 80s, 90s, even early 2000s, there was a lot of talk of low-fat dieting, and truly that is not serving for your overall health or nor your hormones. Fats are the building blocks of cell membranes and hormones. They serve as a protective lining for organs in the body. They are required for the absorption of vitamins A, D, K, and E. They play a role in slowing the absorption of food for proper energy regulation. They make food taste so much better, as you probably know. They help you stay satiated longer in your meals, and they are a source of useful energy to the body. So there are many good fats to choose from. There's also bad fats to choose from that we don't want to be having so much in our diet. But some of those good fats are going to be things like omega 3s coming from fish oils, things like wheat germ, walnut oils, extra virgin olive oils, coconut oil, organic butter and ghee, animal fats from healthy animal sources, sesame oils, and avocado. Those are just some good, delicious choices. And overall, again, everyone is bio-individual, but a good recommendation for dietary healthy fats is about 30%. There are three classifications of fats in our diet. So when we're looking at those, we have saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated. And there's a few examples there of different types of fats and sources that they're coming from. So there are also, like I said, fats to avoid. We want to definitely avoid things like hydrogenated fats. Those are man-made and can definitely be detrimental to your health as a whole. These are toxic to the body. They interfere with the essential roles of fatty acids to play with healthy fatty acids. So we want to definitely be making sure that we are avoiding those fats that are not so good for us. Next, we are going to talk about carbohydrates. So, carbohydrates compose about 2% of the overall body composition. Those are going to be things like grains, fruits, beans, legumes, breads, and sweeteners are examples of carbohydrates. And you can see there we have some examples of, more processed carbs and more healthy, unrefined carbs. So, roles of carbohydrates in the body. So, in the body, carbohydrates definitely play an important role. They give us fuel for the brain. They provide a quick source of energy for muscles. They provide a source of fiber, which can help with proper elimination of waste, and they're a cofactor to support hormones. They promote growth as body tissue and hormones and skin. So there are different classification of carbs. And again, we have, kind of a recommendation here. For the average person, about 40% of your daily calories should come from carbohydrates. Again, pay attention to your own needs and requirements here. And we have simple carbs, which are going to be things like fruits and sugars. And we have more complex carbs, things like vegetables, legumes, and whole grains. So some of those good carbs that we're talking about are unrefined. They're going to be unrefined, which means they existed in nature. Things like fruit that grew from a tree, vegetables from the ground, things that you would be able to pick out of the ground or pick off of a tree is the best way to look at these. And we also have some bad carbs here. Those are going to be refined carbs, which are man-made. The problem with these is they are stripped of nutrients. They have empty calories and carbs, which then can actually deplete the body's own reserves of vitamins, minerals, and enzymes. Okay, next we are going to talk a little bit about vitamins. So, vitamins take up about 1% of the body as far as composition. Most vitamins cannot be made by the body, so we have to get them through our food and our intake of dietary needs with plants and animals that make them themselves. Most vitamins produce the best results in the body when existing cofactors are present. Those are things like enzymes, minerals, and trace minerals. Some of the roles of vitamins in the body are going to be functioning as coenzymes or helpers to the metabolism. They also support digestion, elimination, disease prevention. And also, a deficiency in vitamins can lead to overall health issues and a breakdown. Lots of disorders and disease happen because we have a vitamin deficiency. So, when we're talking about vitamins, we have two different classifications. We have fat soluble and water soluble. So, in the fat soluble category, we have vitamin A, D, E, and K. And for the water soluble vitamins, we have things like most of the B's. So, the B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, B12. And then also folic acid, biotin, vitamin C, inositol, and choline. So, next, we're going to talk a little bit about minerals in the body. So, minerals compose about 4% of the body. Minerals are provided solely from food and supplements. They cannot be produced from the body. Minerals are what remain as ash when animals or humans are burned. So I find that very, very interesting that, even if something is brought to ash, that's what remains is the minerals from the body. Out of about the 103 known minerals, at least 18 are good for human health. So there are many roles of minerals in the body. They act as a cofactor for enzyme reactions, they contract and relax muscles, they regulate tissue growth, maintain pH balance in the body, they transfer nutrients across cell membranes, and they provide structural and functional support. So, some of the best sources of minerals are going to be coming from things like nutrient dense foods and beverages, bone broths, which are really, really rich in minerals. Those are something that we definitely as a society have pulled back from a little bit. But in the last few years, I have found that more people are making their own bone broths. And there's also some really wonderful brands out there that you can buy frozen that are making really wonderful bone broths as well that you can get pre made. Vegetables are another rich source of minerals. Mineral rich water is a great source, and also sea salt. So, natural sea salt or Himalayan sea salts are a good source as well. So, as humans, we are all very individual when it comes to our dietary and nutrition needs. I always tell my clients that, maybe what worked for you 5 years ago might be quite different now. In my practice, I ask a lot of questions based off of people's metabolic type, their blood type, dieting history, their goals, likes and dislikes, and that helps me to determine a nutrition and supplementation protocol to use for optimal health. I really love to get down to the root cause of certain deficiencies, and using some of those questions and working with people can really help me to know what we need to do as far as a food protocol to help you really be able to achieve optimal wellness. I look forward to working with you soon.